After all, human imagination is too weak. Some species have already broken through the imagination of human beings in the way they mate. And they have proved with facts, only you can't think of it, there is nothing they can't do. Some are too terrifying to even bite off their own organs, mate with themselves, explode after mating. Hello everyone, I'm X. Today, I'm going to talk about those outrageous animal mating trivia. New viewers can like and subscribe to the little bell so as not to miss the great video. Let's start with 10th place. 10th hermaphroditic banana slug. Don't think that slugs have sinned. They just look like ripe banana peels. This banana peel, no, banana slug, usually acts at night and feeds mainly on plants. The most special thing about them is that they are hermaphrodites with two sets of genitals at the same time, and they can switch identities at any time according to the needs of the scene. What's even weirder is that the length of the penis of the banana slug can reach twice its own length. A 20-centimeter banana slug can have a 40-centimeter penis. However, authoritative reports say that this ratio is really exaggerated. Speaking of which, you must be curious about how they mate. Interestingly, when two banana slugs decide to mate, they wrap their bodies around each other to form a double helix posture. Immediately afterwards, the penis sticks out from the right side of the body, and the penises of the two slugs enter each other's reproductive holes at the same time to complete the sperm exchange. You think that's over? No. To tell you the truth, the mating time of banana slugs is even more terrifying, which can generally last 8 to 12 hours. It can be called a marathon if the penises are too long or too tightly wound during mating. The problem of the penises getting stuck will occur. To get out of the situation, the slug will not hesitate to bite off its own penis. Don't be afraid, everyone. As cruel as it sounds, it doesn't affect the life of a slug because their organs have a strong regenerative ability. Broken penis will grow back after a few weeks, and the next appointment will not be delayed at all. Let's take a look in the comment area. How many people are envious and crying? 9th flatworm in the penis duel. If you think mating is a romantic affair, you probably haven't seen the operation of a flatworm, and the mating of this creature is a wrestling. The shape of the flatworm is very simple, like a thin piece of translucent jelly, and the flat body is only about a few millimeters to a few centimeters long. They have a cross-shaped digestive tube in the center of their body, which from a distance looks like someone has drawn a small fork on them. The head of the flatworm has two black dots, like a pair of eyes, but these eyes are actually only light-sensitive receptors, which can only judge the intensity of light. The underside of their bodies is covered with cilia that act like little motors that allow them to glide gracefully through the water. Flatworms are also hermaphroditic and have both ovaries and testicles in their bodies. The biggest feature of flatworm mating is the penis duel. As hermaphroditic creatures, they need to rely on force to decide who will play the male role. Two flatworms stab each other with their own penises, and in this fight, whoever is stabbed by the other's penis has to give in and become the party responsible for laying eggs. And the winning side walks away and waits for the next duel. 8th dangerous whip scorpion. Whip scorpions, as the name suggests, are most characterized by a tail that resembles a whip. They have a flattened body, ranging in size from a few centimeters to a dozen centimeters, and are mostly dark brown or black in color. The mating of whip scorpions is very unique. They need to secrete a chemical paralyzing agent to conquer females. The smell of this paralyzing agent will make the female much less vigilant, increasing the success rate of the male approaching. After approaching the male will gently tap the ground with his tail or wave it in small motions to perform a dance for the female to let go of her last guards. If the female is impressed, the male will place the seminal vesicles on the ground and then use his front legs to carefully guide the female to the position of the seminal vesicles. The female will use her reproductive orifice to absorb the sperm in the seminal vesicles and complete the entire fertilization process. After the mating is complete, The male will never be nostalgic and will quickly run away. Why? Because the female whip scorpion is likely to suddenly regret and turn around and eat the male for dinner. But why do female whip scorpions attack males after mating? The reason is actually quite simple. Energy requirements. Female whip scorpions, after mating, need a lot of energy to complete egg laying, and if there is no other food nearby, the males will become their mobile supply packs. From an evolutionary point of view, this is a strategy to ensure the success of female reproduction, but it is too cruel for males. 7th, exploding bees. There are 3 roles in bees: queens, worker bees, and drones. Today's protagonists are the queen bee and the drone, both of whom are the protagonists of mating. The queen bee is the absolute core of a colony and the only female who can produce offspring. She is about twice the size of the average worker bee and has a long, large belly. Queen bees perform almost only 2 tasks throughout their lives: mating and laying eggs. In order to reproduce an entire colony, the queen can lay 2,000 eggs per day. The most important feature of bee mating is sacrifice. To put it simply, after a drone mates, its genitals will burst directly, and some organs will even remain in the queen's body, like to prevent the sperm of other drones from entering, and the drones themselves will die as a result of this explosion. But even if the drone dies, the queen bee doesn't care. She will continue to mate with more drones, usually with 10 to 20 drones, until her sperm bank reserves are sufficient. Then it stops, returns to the hive, and begins the task of laying eggs. It is worth mentioning that these sperm are enough for the queen bee to last for several years, which can be called a real efficient reproductive machine. 6th, violent hair. Don't let these little hairs fool you. As the old saying goes, bunnies are so cute, but they are even more powerful to mate. During the mating season, female hares will actively reject those unqualified males by a simple means of one word: beating. If the male wants to win the heart, he must withstand the punches and kicks of the female and prove with his strength, "I can do it." If the males persist in this violent beating, the females will continue to have a running race. The female will suddenly turn around and run, while the male must chase with all his might. If the male successfully passes the chase, the female will allow him to mate. It is worth mentioning that even when mating begins, females can go back on it, and they can control whether they ovulate or not. If the female is reluctant to ovulate, then the male is basically in vain. Why are female hares so demanding? Actually, it's all about the quality of future generations. This mating pattern avoids the waste of reproductive resources by the weak males. It ensures a genetic advantage in the competition for survival. 5th, poor anglerfish. Anglerfish is a fish that lives in the deep sea and looks very weird. Female anglerfish are much larger than males and can reach up to 1 meter in length, while males are only a few centimeters. Female anglerfish also have a distinctive fishing rod. A glowing tentacle grows above their heads, called a glower, which is an excellent tool for attracting prey and mates. Males, on the other hand, do not have these high-tech configurations at all and cannot prey on their own, and they seem to have only one purpose of existence: to find females and mate. But the problem is that the deep sea environment is extremely vast. The number of females is scarce, and the chances of finding a mate are very slim. As a result, male fish have evolved an extreme way of mating. Once a female is found, they never separate. Once the males find the female, they bite the female's body with their teeth, usually on the abdomen or side. After biting, the male dissolves the female's skin through enzymes secreted by his teeth, and after that, the blood systems of the two begin to merge. After the fusion is completed, the male's body will gradually degenerate. The eyes, fins, and internal organs are all gone, and only a genital remains. In other words, the male completely renounces his independent life and becomes an appendage of the female. Let the female have access to the male's sperm for reproduction anytime and anywhere. It is worth mentioning that a female anglerfish can be possessed by multiple males, and she can give birth to whomever she wants. Fourth, loyal termites. Termites are very small. Workers and soldiers are generally only a few millimeters long, and their bodies are slender, white or light yellow in color, and they look a bit like millet grains. They have no wings, poor eyesight, and live in dark places. But the queen and king of termites are completely different, especially the queen, who can be hundreds of times the size of ordinary worker ants. The queen's abdomen is extremely swollen due to the laying of eggs, almost occupying more than 90% of her entire body, and look more like a moving sausage. In contrast, kings are smaller in size, but also much larger than regular termites. The mating characteristics of termites can be described in these words: lifelong mate and efficient reproduction. After the termite queen and king are married, they will choose to settle in a new nest and become each other's only mates from then on. The marriage system of termites can be called a model of loyalty in the insect world. Termite queens and kings have no other tasks, and their only duty is to mate and reproduce. In other words, they have been mating all their lives and have never stopped. Queens can lay thousands to tens of thousands of eggs per day, and this efficient mating mechanism allows termite colonies to expand rapidly. In some specific termite populations, the queen can even live for more than 20 years, which means that she can lay tens of millions of eggs in her lifetime. Third, ticks. Ticks are tiny arthropods that range in size from a few millimeters to a few centimeters and look like a flat beam in appearance. Their bodies are covered in a hard shell and have special claws on their feet that allow them to firmly grasp the skin of their hosts. These little creatures live mainly in moist meadows, woods, or animal fur, and specialize in feeding on the blood of their hosts. After the female tick sucks blood, its body expands rapidly, becoming huge like a balloon. In contrast, male ticks are much smaller and appear inconspicuous. The way ticks mate completely upends our understanding of reproduction. After mating is complete, the male does not leave, but crawls directly into the female's reproductive hole and begins the process of nesting. In this process, the body of the male tick gradually degenerates, and the internal organs are absorbed by the female, eventually leaving only a reproductive structure embedded in the female's body, which is equivalent to becoming a part of the female's body. The nested male tick no longer has vital signs, but its remaining body tissue becomes a source of nourishment for embryonic development. The ultimate sacrifice of the males ensures that the female tick can successfully hatch hundreds of eggs. Second, barnacles. Barnacles are small crustaceans that are fixed to rocks, the bottom of boats, or other hard surfaces. Their bodies are only a few centimeters long and resemble a small conical bowl in shape. But it's outrageous that the penis of barnacles can reach 8 to 10 times the length of their bodies. This is unique in the animal kingdom. The reason why barnacles need extra long penis is entirely because of their lifestyle. They are fixed to a hard surface and cannot move freely, so they need a tool for remote mating to complete the task of breeding. Barnacles are very flexible and can stick out and explore their neighbors by touching. They find nearby barnacle mates and pass sperm to each other. Interestingly, the penises of barnacles also adjust their shape and length as the tidal environment changes. In calm waters, their penises will be thinner and longer, while in larger waves, they will become stubby and shorter to adapt to the impact of currents. At this time, it is estimated that some viewers will ask, if there is no similar kind around barnacles, how to reproduce? In fact, in this extreme case, barnacles may attempt autofertilization to avoid failure to mate, although the success rate is low. Therefore, barnacles tend to live in groups, and the larvae usually move closer to other barnacles when choosing attachment sites, so that future mating can be ensured and solitary reproductive dilemmas can be avoided. First, sea slug. The sea slugs are mollusks that belong to the class Gastropoda, and their name comes from their rounded body and long antennae, which look a bit like a cute rabbit. Sea slugs are medium-sized, ranging from about 10 to 40 centimeters, with some large species even growing up to a meter in length. They come in a wide variety of colors, ranging from brown and purple to green. The sea slug ranks first, and it definitely deserves it, because this guy doesn't talk about morality. Not only are they hermaphrodites, but they are also capable of participating in mating party. During the breeding season, sea slugs gather together. The first one acts only as a male, mating with the second one and passing its sperm to the second one. The second sea slug plays the role of both a male and a female. While receiving the sperm of the first one, it uses its own penis to mate with the third one. The third sea slug, which can only be a female and receive sperm completely, can also continue to mate with the fourth one. In this way, one by one, sea slugs can form a mating chain of 3 to 20 or even more in a short period of time. Each sea slug in the mating chain can act as an intermediate link, both contributing its own sperm and receiving sperm from the previous link to complete the mating. The mating chain is automatically dissolved after completion, and all participants leave to find a suitable place to lay their eggs. It has to be said that nature is magical.